Hey, Bashers. I don't know why the song just dropped out, but it just did. Is audio okay? That's so weird. The song just kind of just stopped on me for a second. As long as everybody can hear me, just give me a thumbs up, because I heard the song and then it just cut out at the end, which I think is very, very, very weird. Anyway, it's 6 o'clock on Wednesday, April 9th. I apologize for the hour late. I just had some appointments that went a little bit long, unfortunately. And let's start out by seeing who's in the room. Just give me a heads up if everybody can hear me just fine. Just want to make sure that you can hear me. Just anybody in the chats, just give me an up tap on the shoulder. Hey, thanks very much. Tap on the shoulder. Very weird. The intro song just cut out on me. Anyway, let's see who's in the room first. Who got in at number 1? Rufus, the incomparable Rufus first, but please pass it on. I will do that. Let's see. You could choose, if you're live in the show, you can choose exactly who you want to get it. Maybe Ken Furby. How about that? How about Ken Furby? He's been a great basher for quite a long time. How about let's allocate the Basher of the Day song to Ken Furby. And we'll start out with Rufus and Dave Fahrenheit 451. Close, man. He's number 1 all the time, but he's in at number 2. Amazing. Dave, you're incredible. And the Lord H. Number 3. Have a great day, Bashers. Have a great day, Bashers. Andrew Wolkowicz, the incomparable one. Hopefully he's home, because usually he works till 5:30, so he's here. Be kind, upvote, and subscribe. Let's start out with this super chat gong that belongs to just him. It's his gong. He owns it. Andrew. Thursday is payday. Sorry. What does that mean? Today's Wednesday. What does that mean? And the Basher of the Day, courtesy of Rufus. Hello, everyone. Big shout out to Rufus. Look at that. Remember to fulfill your upvote and subscribe duties of the day. In a world of madness, it makes perfect sense. Thanks so much. Right down there, if you could do that. Right down here. Right here. Get the subscribe button or the like button, or not if you don't like it. The incomparable Julian is here, finally done with all of his computer nonsense that was giving him a hard time in participating in the show. And what would that be like without Julian? Remember to upvote and keep the Bashers thriving. Thank you, kind sir. Artists live with God, but give their little finger to Satan. I sleep with the angels and dream of the devil. Sounds very metal. Yeah. See, you are a heavy metal fan, Renaissance. You just don't realize it. No one in heavy metal is a Satanist, as far as I know. Even the people that use pentagrams and upside down crosses, they just like all the scary imagery. It's a load of nonsense. Most of them are probably either, devout Christians or practicing Jewish people or whatever. I've never met an actual Satanist. Even the Marilyn Mansons and the Cronoses from Vellum, and who's the King Diamond, who are the most demonic of the Gene Simmons went to rabbinical school for a while and was a teacher, and we all know that. This life of being a transient human being has got to point when it's going. This life of being a transient human being has gotten to a point when it's very hard to bear. That's interesting. I don't know. How many people feel like they're in flux? How many people feel like their life is in flux, that you're on the crossroads, the precipice of something completely new and completely different? I feel that way. I think this year is the year where decisions are being made, and they will be made, and things are going to, and that's good, because I don't know about you, but I worked in the same place for 25 years, and, I've been in a relationship for 35 years, and I lived in the same home for 35 years. And I'm like a cat, very much. That's probably why I relate to them. So cats do not like change. You move a piece of furniture and your cat is going to be very angry with you. I like things to remain as close to the same as is possible. Unfortunately, life doesn't really work that way. And also, humanity doesn't work that way. We need to shake things up sometimes so we can see new horizons, new vistas. That's why I always tell people when they say that they haven't traveled, I'm always beguiled by that. Because travel for me has always been an eye-opening experience to just have a lifeline to the world. You get to see so many things, how other cultures move, they speak, they eat, they drink, they walk. I'm fascinated. You know, I've always lived in New York City. Other than amazing amounts of time spent in Ireland as a kid, I got the best of both worlds, but travel has afforded me kind of like an open mind to other cultures and to appreciate what they do that we don't do. You know, you go to certain countries and they have no idea what ketchup is, but we do. I'm beginning to understand myself, but it would have been great to be able to understand myself when I was 20. Rather now, I am 82 years young. And because we had this conversation privately, not the eldest of the Bashers. I know of 3 people who are actually a little older than you. And isn't that cool? What a demographic is that? I told this funny story once about, because the way my brain works. But what does the number mean? What does the number mean? You are as old as you think you are. Of course, physically, we have challenges as we get older, and you know, things don't work as well as they did. Some things work better. Sometimes your mind works better. Sometimes it doesn't work at all. Physical limitations, arthritis, you know, just the body. Think about this. We watch, I'm wearing my Waltham Field and Marine today, courtesy of my friend Angelo Minichello. These things we have to wind, and eventually they will stop. Our heart never stops beating from the moment you are in the womb. It's incredible how it's a miracle of sorts. How in the world does this thing, I mean, for some people, they have heart issues and they have heart transplants and they have, you know, ablations and things like that that have to get done. And it's the only time their hearts will stop. But isn't that incredible that this thing that's in the middle of our chest really requires very little maintenance until we get older, for the most part of most of us. It's an incredible thing. But the body is a miracle. And as we get, we push on through science and advancements in genetics and things like that, we are getting older. You know, people, I was a senior citizen 100 years ago. People died, you know, while they were picking corn. People died from the flu, from, you know, all different kinds of a toothache. People died from an infection. Before antibiotics, what was the actual, you know, longevity span? What year was it? 30, 35, 40? People did live, that we've got lots of, Da Vinci lived to be quite an old man, but it was rarer than most. It's an incredible thing. Julian, what you have accomplished in this world is, as we've seen every single show with your adages and your beautiful art, is your keen eye, what you have noticed, because you are a keen observer of the world. And I think that's what age, not only wisdom and experience, but what you have seen, what your eyes have recorded. And that's an amazing thing that a lot of the youth, they always say that youth is wasted on the young. Because when we're young, we're doing frivolous things. We're not doing poignant things. We're not looking for milestones. Most of us aren't. It's incredible, you know, the daring that youth has. You know, we watched this YouTube video the other day of the craziest, you know, attractions of the world, like people being catapulted off of a mountaintop and parachuting into a stream. Like, those are all things that I readily would have done in my younger days, and now I would never entertain the idea of doing such a thing. I still want to jump out of a plane. I didn't do it last year. It was supposed to be in September, and I got no takers. I might wind up doing it by myself, because it's number 1 on my bucket list. But again, if anybody, the spring hath sprung. So if anybody in the Basher community is interested in coming to New York in the summertime, there is a place out on the end of Long Island. If anybody wants to jump out of a plane with me, we can make a whole Basher episode about it. It might be really super duper fun. Obviously, I can't record it live because there's no, you go up in an airplane and that there goes your signal. But I think it would be fun to record it. And the whole trip from the time you get on the plane to the time you jump out of the plane, the company that you engage to endeavor this activity, they record it for you, which is cool, and they give you the footage. I could use it on the channel. But anyway, if anybody's interested in that, it'd be very cool. Anyway, Julian, you know the story. I'm always hoping for the nights that are inspired, where you almost have an out-of-body experience. Me too, because the night is when I'm alive. I tend to get up rather early. I tend to take naps if I can during the day, like an hour nap. But I stay up till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, sometimes later, looking for that inspiration, especially with music. As you guys know, Hitman is kind of not getting back together, so to speak, but we're reissuing our second record. But that might entail either some new music added on or reclamation of an older songs that never made it to the records. Because we've ran into an issue with this, already ran into an issue. We just started the process. The album is too long to fit on one vinyl. So it has to be broken up into 2 vinyls. So we're talking about CDs, it doesn't really matter. You get 72 minutes worth of music. But on an album, you only get something like 22 minutes per side for it to sound great. All you audiophiles out there will know what I'm talking about. You can't overcrowd the grooves on a record, because then it just doesn't sound good anymore. So if we're going to have 4 pieces of vinyl into 4 sides of vinyl, we have to figure out what to do. And it's interesting because Chuck, who was on my show yesterday, who's an original founding member of Hitman, he didn't play on the second record. Stuff happens in your creative world, and I don't remember exactly how, what, or why. I know why he didn't participate in the last one, because he was going to, but I don't remember exactly. I think we were very young. We were still in our mid-20s. I started recording that record. I think I was 24. I don't remember, but we had done some demos of these really, really great songs. And I was just thinking about, because we've been talking online and through text. And I remember, like, I don't have the masters for these things. We did a bunch of songs with Chuck before he left, and they were really good songs. I was like, that might be a really great inclusion on those records. So I don't know if you're out there, Chuck, but maybe we could have a chit chat about, do you have that? I think they're the My Last Confession demos. I don't even remember what else was on them. I don't even remember. I just only remember that song because it was cool, but it's interesting. But yeah, at night I'm constantly, that's when I tend to write music. And I don't think we're going to be writing any music for this thing. I mean, if there's another record in the future, that would be great. And I've already written all those songs because I thought we were going to do it right away, but it didn't happen. That doesn't mean you don't. But listen, when inspiration hits you, and there's not much you can do about it. Not much you can do about it. You just have to either go with the flow. Don't ignore inspiration when it hits you. Run full throttle. Your mother's heartbeat is the first sound you have ever heard, and your own heartbeat is the last. Oof. I do not like listening to my own heartbeat. That's why I listen to audiobooks or have music on in my room when I fall asleep. I need background noise because I get very uneasy when I hear my heartbeat. I don't know why it is. I don't know why. But that's true. Life is too full of distractions nowadays. When I was a child, we had a little radio and that was it. We were more dedicated. We didn't have a choice. Yeah, listen, man, I'm old enough to know. When I was a little kid, we had an AM radio. There was FM, but I don't think my eldest sister, Pat, who turned me on to most of the music that I love, she would have been the first person to latch on to FM. And for television, we had 2, 4, 5, 7, 9, 11, and 13. That's all we had. The only channels that we had. As a matter of fact, something really interesting to me, not to most people, was I've seen many an interview with Alec Baldwin where he talks about this guy who was the narrator on a channel WOR in New York City, Ted Malley. And he calls him Ted Molly. And it isn't Molly, it's Malley, because I went to school with his daughter, Susan. She was my classmate for 8 years. And he always says, Ted Molly, but it was Ted Malley. He misremembers. But it's very interesting because we had the things called like the $1 Million Movie, the 4:30 movie, we had very little choice. So everybody was watching the same things. Now, I have to think about what we're going to watch at dinner time because we don't sit at a table. We sit on the couch and we watch a show or a film for dinner. And I have to pre-plan that because there's way too much choice. And I tried to watch this, what was it? I think it's called Dying for Sex. It's Michelle Williams, whom I think is one of the great American actresses. And I was looking forward to it. I didn't know what the concept of the show was. It turns out she was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and she wants to go on some kind of hedonistic spree. Wasn't funny, wasn't too poignant. The writing was, I didn't enjoy it at all, and it made me uncomfortable because that gratuitous stuff, you guys know me, I'm not a prude or anything, but I think there are clever ways to bring forth on the screen or in any kind of art medium to show sexuality that's clever. And it wasn't clever. It was a bit crass and a bit over the top, and I didn't enjoy it. But I'm always looking for something like now we're watching The Studio, which is so far so good. And I go, wow, we're all out of shows. And then I think about the thousands and thousands of shows that we have at our fingertips. I'll tell you what I subscribe to. I don't have cable television. I got rid of that years ago. So I've got a rabbit ear antenna that gets me my local channels. And then for cable, I've got Paramount Plus, I've got Hulu, I've got Netflix, I've got Disney, I've got something else. I have most of the big hitters at HBO because you have to have HBO because HBO still puts out great content. But then there's all these other ones like Peacock and there's all these, and I'm sure in your you probably have BBC pay-per-view and RTE and all the different ones. There's too much choice, so much choice that if I don't have a show ready for dining, I wind up flipping the channel and food is cold or it's not good. Too much choice indeed. Anyways, let's get happy. Melly C's in the room. Happy hump day, Dirk, and the beautiful people. Happy hump day to you, my darling. Great to see you as always. And well done, Rufus. Well done, Rufus, indeed. Kevin Landon's here. Upvoted number 10 today for Grail Watch Wednesday. Best wishes to Dirk and all the bashers. Back to work, so I will catch the bash replay. Oh, do not fear the darkness. Be the light. Yeah. It's very Dio of you. Do not fear the darkness. Be the light. Oh. Andy M., good day to you, kind sir. Wishing you and yours only good things. And we've got that already for him. Only good things. That's what he brings to the table every single day. I don't know if Melly C will agree, but I know Mork and Mindy will. Only good things. Thank you, dear one. It's always great to have you in the room and spreading only good things as is necessary in our lives. Where are we? We should just go back to me. Hitesh C, hey y'all. Happy Wednesday and happy bashing. Bash to you. Great to see you in the room. Hitesh C, upvoted and congrats to Rufus. That's why I love you guys. You pay it forward. You congratulate everybody when they do a good job. Jerry O'Malley, she got her song yesterday. She got Who Can I Bash To? We made a little joke about Anthony Newley, or Anthony Newley, as the British would say. People don't know who that is. And, being an old, classically trained singer, I was never a show tunes guy. I never had any aspirations to be on Broadway or any of that crap. But I always appreciated great singers and a guy like that who wrote Goldfinger and Feeling Good. And it's just the songs from Dr. Dolittle. And I'm missing out on a million songs that guy wrote. Incredible melodist and an interesting pantomime. Pantomime is not a big thing we've had in the United States. I know the Brits and the Irish all have enjoyed panto, but we don't have such a thing here. Never really did. So my friends growing up, I would be into, and then I was vindicated when David Bowie gave that interview and he said, well, darlings, in the beginning of my career, I got everything from Anthony Newley. Like, you bet you did, baby. Who let the dogs out? Dean, 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 Dean. That should be your new theme song. Franco Fiore, grazie mille, signori. Please upvote. Thank you, Franco. Great to see you in the room. Kind of late start. Yeah, Ray. I just had to. Life. It's the game of life, like the poem said, like a lady in red. Is anybody else obsessed with the new Lady Gaga record? I am obsessed with it. It's a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece. Watch her Saturday Night Live performance. Watch that. Talent will out, my dears. Not only the visuals and the choreography, but she's singing live, which is a tragedy that I have to mention it at all. Anybody, ooh, can you believe it? She sang live. Because everyone, you watch the Lawrence Welk show or the Don Lane show, watch any show from your territory, wherever you're from. Back in the 60s and the 70s, everybody was live, except the Monkees. Great songs, but, you know, everyone was live. Today, I've mostly been eating fruity cocos and tuna and sweet corn. Oh, couscous. Is that what you mean? Couscous. Fruity couscous? What does one put in fruity couscous? I'm kind of hot or cold on couscous. I like the larger ones. The small ones is just like farina. So it's like too much like a breakfasty thing. 6 p.m. Cool. I get cuddle time with the cats. Ah, great. Fergal's here. Hey, Dirk and all the bashers. Great to see you in the room. Big kiss to Louise. Catching up on Speedy Tuesday first, so I'll catch tonight's show later on. Well, we hope to see you there. I hope all the bashers are well. I am. I hope all the bashers are too. Steve McLeod, we'd like an update on your appendectomy. We'd all like to know because everyone, they can't reach out to you, so they reach out to me. And two questions I have for you if you're here, beautiful Steve McLeod. Julian highly praised your photography and said what a wonderful place you live in, and he was very curious as to what you use. So when we look through your pictures, hopefully if you're around you can chime on in, because he wants the photographer in him wants to know how you achieve such effects, digital, film, post-production, any of that kind of stuff. So we'll get into it when we get to the Gallery of Bastards. Ray says, okay, Easter egg is a mushroom. I give up. Wrong. There's an Easter egg in today's also. It's quite obvious, though. Tap on the shoulder. Thank you so much for that. What do you got there? A Bolex. Uh-oh. What are you doing? You going to Canal Street and buying watches? The tap on the shoulder. I know who this is. Tap on the shoulder. I know who you are. Well, and welcome to the show. Andrew with a big thumbs up. That means he's live. Melly C. Yeah. Okay, that meant that the sound is good. I just don't know why it cut out. It's weird, and it works for me. Fantastic, Rufus. I'm gonna give it to him right after the show. Metal is theater. It is. It is. People don't realize that most of the people that I've ever engaged with in the metal world are mostly classically trained people. Yes, blues guitar players abound. You know, the Verte Diddleys, as we like to call the guys that got the Chuck Berry stuff. There's a million of those guys. But then there's the post Malmsteen, post Ingve era where people are going to GIT and Berkeley and Juilliard, and they're all classically trained, and they're taking that technique that they've learned and honed. Like the style of metal that I was involved in is called progressive metal, even though we were kind of borderline, not progressive metal, because we were a little bit shorter songs, more tuneful. But most of the singers that I was a big fan of all studied operatically. My guys, my heroes, except for Ian Gillan, who just is a banshee. That guy I think he just came out of the womb. I do lessons. He didn't care. Amazing. Some people are just incredibly gifted out of the womb. Lucky them, and goddamn you all. Drew B's live. Hey, Bashers. Hey, Drew B, do. Great to see you in the room. Mr. Furby, shout out and thanks to Rufus and Dirk for the song of the day. I'm not worthy. You're certainly worthy, my friend. Nobody could be more worthy than you. Thanks so much, and we love your new thumbnail. It looks great. Good day, Drew B. Everybody's happy to see you live in the room, which means we should have. Oh, good. I was going to say, is there a K of the day? Because that's a segment now, because we want to follow Kay throughout her entire journey in her beautiful new life. But I have a great picture coming up of Kay and Jack. I see it right now. I'm going to sneeze on the show. It's live. Rufus, the phony imagery and symbolism that metal used pushed me into punk rock when I was young. Something very pure about punk. Yeah, I mean, okay. Um, like when you see Motley Crue with a pentagram, you have to just chuckle because conceptually those guys are bereft of imagination. They're just a a pouty pop group with loud guitars. But then you have people that might have read Aleister Crowley or LaVey, and they might have been fascinated by Edgar Allan Poe. And they take a guy like Steve Harris, for example, who might very well be too literal in his adaptations of things. Like he has a song called The Rime of the Ancient Mariner and Alexander the Great. He is not trying to mask where he gets his influences from, which is something that I think most creatives tend to do. They tend to absorb what they absorb and then kind of incorporate it into something new and hopefully compelling. But Steve Harris is like, yeah, I read War and Peace, got a new song called War and Peace. He just, Alexander the Great. I mean, he hear the rhyme of the ancient mariner, stops on the three, mesmerizes one of the wedding guests, and then it's very literal. But the imagery, because it's so severe, colorful and dark and evocative, I think it just lent itself to that medium. Most of it was extremely silly, Rufus. Extraordinarily silly. Marilyn Manson and his goofy stuff, and Venom and their goofy stuff. And it's like Manowar. They're not satanic, but their look is just, hideously stupid. And people love them. I mean, for us, Manowar was a group from New York that would play Brooklyn at this club called the War in Brooklyn, and then they would play stadiums in Portugal. And I was always like, what? By the way, very operatically trained singer. I'm not saying that they're terrible. I've liked some Manowar stuff, but imagery, people get caught up in imagery. Now, punk, for example, it also depends on what you mean by punk. For me, punk is television, Blondie, everything that came, the Ramones, obviously the British punk scene to me was extremely artificial. The Sex Pistols being the number one artificial group of all time. They're the they're the Backstreet Boys of punk. They're the Take That of punk. They were completely manufactured by Malcolm McLaren. And they just got some street thug guys. Not that I don't love John Lydon. I love him. And do I like some of the music? Absolutely, I do. But there was a lot of fake punkers out there, Billy Idol took punk and made it super pop. I love Billy Idol. He's cooler than hell. Who doesn't like? He's great. And he's great now. Have you seen him live? He's terrific now. But there were so many, posers. That's the word that we used to use back in the day. I don't know if people still use it, but you'd say, that guy's a poser, right? He's a right poser. Because people who couldn't walk the walk or talk the talk, they would use all the imagery. They'd have safety pins all over their clothes. It'd be and then punk, as we all know, because early Elvis Costello is extremely punk. Now we think of Elvis Costello as this extremely educated musician but no, he started out as a punk. Radio, that's a punk song. Very punk stuff. Then that morphed into new wave and the new romantic era where the softening began. And that happened with metal too. Black Sabbath, who invented metal. It's not really that arguable, but you can bring it on. Dark, gloomy, scary, all that stuff. However, then later on, you started to get all these softer, harder rock bands that they would take some of the imagery and they would lighten it up. And I think that's what happens. The extreme ones are the ones that usually don't make it that big, generally, or burn themselves out very fast. It's very interesting. I mean, it's marketing. It's even if it's not done by a company, you're marketing yourself. So, like, here's a perfect example. When I joined Hitman, they had this idea. Big idea. And the big idea was we want to wear costumes because we were all Kiss fans. And Michael, our dearly departed bass player, was the spearhead of this whole thing. And so when I joined the band, everybody had outfits. And they changed over the course of a year and a half or 2 years before we dropped them. And like Mike wore like motocross gear. He looked kind of Mad Maxy. And we would go to this guy named Mateo on Long Island, and they'd get their outfits done. And then eventually we just felt it was silly, and we stopped doing that. And then what do you do? It was like Kiss taking off their makeup. What did they do? They started to look like girls. They started to wear the clothes of the era. They started wearing spandex and glittery pink tops. I mean, if you see these 2 6-foot guys, you know, in drag, essentially, it just looks really stupid. They look great in the makeup because that's what it was. Amazing. And that was not marketing. They created it themselves. However, because that machine got so big, and they had Bill O'Coin, and they had all these amazing Sean Delaney, these guys pushing this image, when they lost the image, when they had to take the makeup off because their career was faltering, the first thing they did was they wore street clothes, and it looked, okay, this is pretty cool. It's for an album called Look It Up. And then after that, they started wearing eyeshadow and super teased up hair, and Paul Stanley would wear body suits, and it was just embarrassingly bad. And everybody of that era, Whitesnake, one of the greatest hard rock blues bands. I mean, David Coverdale, the singer of Whitesnake, was in Deep Purple. He's one of the greats, one of the absolute greats. They started glamming it up, and everybody glammed it up because they wanted to get on MTV. They wanted to push that whole glammy narrative. And even bands that were great, for all the great ones, the Whitesnakes and the Queensryche did an album. They're a super progressive hard rock heavy metal band. They did an album where they looked like lesbian vampires. It was so weird. And it's their best music album, by the way. It's called Rage for Order. But at the flip back cover, you look at them and they're all wearing makeup and they have crazy hair. And it was just, you couldn't get away from that style. So getting back to the original point, yeah, metal got really stupid, but they all do eventually. Punk got really stupid. Everybody started thinking they were punk, acting like, you see these, you still go down to the East Village here in New York City and you see a girl with Doc Martens and safety pins and ripped fishnets. And you'd be like, oh, what's your favorite band? And she's like, oh, I like Harry Styles. She has no idea what punk is. And punk, we all know what punk was. That one went on for an eternity, didn't it? Andy M., the world used to be simpler. Now it's just screaming people shouting rubbish, pretending to be virtuous. Virtue signaling, which is the worst. Isn't it so bad? And I like that they came up with a term for that, virtue signaling. You know, when you put out there all the good works you do and all that stuff. People who do great works don't brag about it. People who are charitable and kind and caring don't wear it on a t-shirt. They just don't do it. It's fine to urge other people to try to do it because, you know, but when people say, well, like, I'll never forget, I was watching an interview. I won't say who it was because it was somebody I like. And this was kind of, they were talking about how much money they give to charity. And I'm like, that's not something. George Michael gave most of his money to charity and no one ever knew about it. No one ever knew about it. That guy quietly gave millions and millions of dollars a year to charities. It was incredible. That's charity is in your heart. It's not on your shirt. That should be a slogan. Nice to see the orange one blink today. Yeah, well, you know, the world is spinning round. We make the best of what's still around. Whose song is that? When the world is spinning around, make the best. Is that Sting? Might be. I think the Mango Mussolini is shorting the market to his benefit. Well, you know. All I know is, and, you know, listen, I'm not rich. You guys know my story, but we do have a little, you know, money market fund. We do have an account that plays with the stock market. And for the most part, for the last, you know, several years, it's grown, not to some exorbitant thing, but it's our retirement nest egg, you know, and we've been working on that for, you know, 20, 30 years. And this week, it was unbelievably shocking. All you can possibly do is sit back and say to yourself, oh God, I hope this doesn't continue, because it was down by 26%. And that is really, really, really scary. So, And then we were talking yesterday about, people are afraid to talk about politics because, people get into loggerheads and things like that. But, the reality of things right now is that the world is in flux and people are scared, and people have a right to be scared. Things are changing. Things are scary. And but I guess what it comes down to is no one's going to storm the palace until you take away their food and their livelihoods. They're not going to do it. Like the French Revolution is not going to happen here unless it gets so bad until, people just need to storm the castle. Little protests, little fires get put in and put out and stuff like that. But when we saw that, you just got to, it shocks the living hell out of you. And I have a lot of really smart friends on this show who I speak to, and they have far more financial knowledge than I do. And, it's scary times. I mean, listen, the stock market didn't crash any time before for any reason other than people panicked. A panic, everybody will start pulling their money out and not investing anymore, and that's when stuff happens. But let's pray for the best. Let's find a way, my friends. We live in the best time in history, yet fools complain relentlessly about paradise. Well, paradise is a religious construct. So paradise will always be there. We'll fantasize about paradise. Your paradise and my paradise are different things. They just both include cats in our particular scenarios. But paradise, and drink the milk of paradise. Paradise is a great word, and it's a great word to sing. I don't think I've ever used it in a song. Have I ever used it in a song? I love that word. It's a great word to sing. Sorry, I'm not jumping out of a plane unless it's on fire. Joe, come on. You and me, we'll go out to Calverton, Long Island, and we'll go, we'll jump out of a plane. We'll make a day of it. We'll have cocktails and make a lot of fun out of it. I think that would be great. Hitman shows and tours in the work. No, there isn't. It's hard. It's not easy to be. It's like being in government, because you think being in a band is a creative thing, but it's also a socio-political thing. And I have always been the United Nations, and I've always been Switzerland, and I always want to be the guy that try to find a way to make it work. It's just my personality. Do I disagree with people and agree? Yeah, sure, of course. But I always want to find the brick in the wall so I can, close the dike up. No, the only thing we're doing is we're going to reissue that second album. It's called Viva Smuck, and here's a picture of it. Can't see it because it's mostly green. The problem is that this thing was never on vinyl, and we have no idea where this original painting was, which was done by Paul. You can't see the top of that because it's blue, and I have a blue screen. So it's going to have to be a scan from here because we don't know where the original painting is. I thought it was in my home and I can't find it. I have all the other artwork. We're going to do that, but it's going to be on a double vinyl, and it's going to have 4 sides. So we couldn't do it on one vinyl because there's not enough room because the album is 53 minutes long, which is kind of long. Either that or you have to cut songs off, which I don't really want to do that. Mistakes or not. And there were a few on this album, which I will wholeheartedly agree. And I'm not going to get into my whole thing. But we were in, the reason why Chuck left. Here's the reason. Now I can remember. We lost ourselves. We lost who we were. We didn't know who we were anymore. Our first record was everybody, they knew exactly what kind of band they wanted to make. I joined, and then John joined, and then we were the band. And that was the music we were making. And we had this record label that wanted to put our stuff out. And then we had a huge record label who swooped in. We're going to give you $1 million contract, and we're going to stop the release of your independent album in Europe. And then we're going to work. And then I'd sit around, and the guy that was signing us to that label was a guy named Harry Palmer, whom I loved this man. He was a beautiful guy. He was an older guy. Obviously, I think he must have been in his 90s now because he died a couple weeks ago. And he would come to my house and pick me up and take me to rehearsal. And we were getting really progressive for our next record. It wasn't going to be, like some of the stuff that's on this album. It was going to be, you know, in the direction of something more musical and more challenging and all these things. And this guy loved the direction. And then our German record company wouldn't let us go. They wanted ridiculous sums of money, and we wound up floundering. So the band lost their creative mojo, and then this Bon Jovi thing started happening. And then all of a sudden I went from whoa to, you know, I learned how to sing raspy. And while there's some great music on this record, there's a couple of stupid ones that I wouldn't mind leaving, but I don't believe in erasing mistakes, like I don't believe in erasing history. Because if we erase history, or worse, if we rewrite history, then we'll never know the mistakes that we made, because the generations after us will be like, oh, wow, that's amazing that you guys had black people in government in the 1700s. When they watch a movie like we tried to watch Gentlemen in Moscow, and they had Rastafarians as Bolsheviks and stuff. I mean, that's taking that stuff too far. It's where I disagree with the whole thing, because if you're going to rewrite history, people are going to think that really happened, and they won't know the plight of the African Americans in America and how they were enslaved, and they won't know about the Holocaust, and they won't know about Milosevic, and they won't know about all these things, because we're rewriting history. How are we going to learn if we rewrite history? How are we going to do that? Because eventually down the road, people won't know that when Italian immigrants came to New York City, they were treated as subhumans. And then there's a very famous thing about Irish people. Listen, everybody gets a turn on the bicycle, pretty much. Everybody loves to talk about the zeitgeist of anti-this, anti-this, anti-this. Everybody throughout time has probably mostly gone through it. Every cultural era has probably gone through it at one time or another. There's a very famous signs you'd find all over New York City that said, no Irish need apply, because the Irish were considered like the lowest scum on the bottom of the pole. I don't know why they were. I don't know why anybody was treated that way. Why did anybody ever think that when they met Africans that they were lesser than? Why did they think that? Where did that germ of an idea come from? Where did it come from that when somebody saw somebody that was different from them, that they thought that they were better? It's probably because maybe they had an elevated socioeconomical situation and they looked upon these people as more wild. Now, unfortunately, civilizations come and go. I was just recently in Cancun, and there were these unbelievable Mayan ruins. This unbelievable civilization lived there that had temples and language and shipping and all amazing things that eventually died out. All things died, and we shall too. We shall be extinguished once the aliens come to Earth and eat us, which we probably deserve at this point, because we can't even get ourselves together. There's this thing, I'm not going to bore anybody because I'm rambling. There's a thing called the Kardashev scale, and the Kardashev scale is like it's a 5-point scale about where civilizations fall in the universe. Like, have you been able to harness all the energy in your own planet? Then are you able to harness all the energy and use all the stuff that you need in your solar system? Have you been in your galaxy? We're like 0.38 on the first one, because we don't even know what to do, because we can't get along. Just ridiculous. I'm ranting. iBASHERS. You guys should come to Tulsa and record at Church Studio, Leon Russell Studio. Oh, I've been so many places in my life and time. One of the most beautiful songs ever written, Leon Russell. And it's funny sometimes, because he had that kind of honky tonk. He's Elton John's #1 influence. Did you know that? Leon Russell was the inspiration for Elton John to become solo. You know, he studied classically, went to the Royal Academy of Music in London. But he didn't get the bug of rock and roll until he liked Jerry Lee Lewis and all that stuff. And by the way, I'm going to take back what I said. I think I might have said it on the show. I said that Brandi Carlile and Elton John are two great tastes that don't taste good together. I take it all back. They were on Saturday Night Live and they were fantastic together. And I bought the record and I listened to it. I liked a couple of songs. They wrote this song about Little Richard. It's called Little Richard's Bible. It sounds like Leon Russell. It sounds like old swampy Elton John, which is one like early Elton John. Listen, I like all of Elton John. There's not much I don't like. But in 2000 or 2001, he put out an album called Songs from the West Coast. Everybody should get that record. It's a total return to form. It's him and Bernie writing some of the best material. That's got This Train Don't Stop Here Anymore and I Want Love. American Triangle is amazing songs. There's a song on there called The Emperor's New Clothes, and it starts off the album with the most amazing Elton John honky-tonk intro. It's amazing. And it's just because Elton always had a little bit of swampy Louisiana Cajun in him. He's a British guy, but he loved American music because that's where rock and roll came from. Where did American rock and roll come from? Black people. Jazz. That's where it came from. What have we really invented at all? Listen, we are stronger together than we are separate, my friends. We are all stronger together. So let's fix that. I don't know if I don't know. I probably have 30 songs that I wrote for, because after we did the last record, Destroy All Humans, which I don't have a copy of, Chuck was supposed to be on that record too. And then, you know, some kind of interpersonal shit went down. Not between me and anybody else, but people agree to disagree on things, and, you know, whatever. It happens. But after that went and we did some shows around that record, I got really into the whole writing thing and started writing a ton of stuff, and I wrote probably like 20-30 songs. So I don't know if I'd be writing new songs. I think maybe I might have one or two good ones. I don't know. Who knows? Do a song that's about a duel between Hitman in the 20s and Hitman 40 years later. Who would win? Youth and Raw Energy. Oh, Youth and Raw Energy would win. There's no doubt about it. I could sing much higher back then. I can still do it, but with a lot of rehearsal is necessary to do that, because you get rusty. It's not like you get rusty. You know how when you get older, you start to get thicker. It's not like you got fat or anything, but you get shorter. Gravity takes place. I am double fisting because I'm double fisting Melly C and Angela McKillo. Two great tastes that taste great together. Yeah, so maybe, absolutely. That would be. I think I don't believe that thing that people write their best music when they're older. I think that you can write great songs later on in your career. I think creative people do great things later on. Paul McCartney still writes. He might not have the voice he once had, but he still writes a good tune. A lot of people do, you know. Melly C says that's a hard pass, Dirk. No jumping out of a plane for me. Okay. I will respect you. We had much more homogeneous society when we all watched this. Yeah, well, you know, now there's a channel just for you and just for me and just for Brad and just for Janet. Damn it, Janet, I love you. We shared an experience. We shared a culture. We felt more cohesive and together as a nation. 1,000,000%. Because we fought the enemy, not each other. That's what we did. Yeah, it was us against them. Where is the us against them now? It's just because you have people here who have two. There's very few people in the middle. There's very few nowadays because there's no channel in the middle. There's a thing called, and I'm not sponsored by anybody, but everyone in America should watch something called Ground News. They should subscribe to that. It's completely unbiased. There's no right. There's no left. It's just reporting. There's no figurehead sitting at a desk telling you everything you want to hear and riling you up. And that's all that's happened here, because we're all still the same people. We all still love our families and our pets and our dogs. We still all love the same things. But people, it's like going to see a preacher and him telling you, you're going to be touched by God. Let me tell you, I want you to reach deep into your hearts and your pocketbooks and take his hand. That's what's happening to people right now. They are being entranced by these. The new televangelists are these morons that run these news networks and tell you exactly which one. And put the fear of God in you. There's going to be people coming in and they're going to steal your jobs and all this crazy shit that's going to happen. And 99.9% of that is bullshit. It's bullshit. It's exaggerated crap. It's inflated nonsense. News. I'm going to go see Good Night and Good Luck. I'm going to hopefully see that with George Clooney on Broadway, because it's about Edward R. Murrow and a guy just told you about the news. I want to watch that. It's good stuff. Anyway, you know what I mean, my friends. The Mali comes from the 6 counties. They dropped the O in, oh yeah, and knee, right? Because your kids all use the knee there. Yeah, but his name was Mali, not O'Malley, or he calls him Molly, like with an O. I don't know why he pronounces it that way. It's weird because it's not Molly, Ted Molly. But he'd be like, on WOR, Channel 9, this is Ted Mali. Andrew says, hey, Jer. Hey, Andrew. This is great. In the UK, we had 3 channels, BBC One, BBC One, BBC Two, BBC Three. It's great, Austin Powers. And they all shut down. Yeah, ours did too. We had the color thing, and then it went to nothing. It was pretty great. Yeah. I don't know. There's too much to watch. Recently stumbled across the 3rd iBASHERS show, and Yi and I made a chat on it. What is this? Recently stumbled across 3rd iBASHERS show. The very 3rd one? Like when Ush and I were doing it together once a month show, and Yi and I made chat on it. Oh, send me the link, Ray, to my email box, will you? Jeremiah, Andy, do you remember the Welsh station? Ooh, how cool is that? My sister and I used to sing the tune they played. I think it was an anthem, like the Welsh anthem. What a cool culture that is. Hello, here I am. Hero. Oh. Hello, here I am. Here we are one. The bash is just about, the bashers have just begun. I know where you're going with that, Drewby. The Clash. Yeah, Clash are the best of all. I love the Clash. Who doesn't love the Clash? Andy M says, Jer, I didn't live in an area where we could, near London and near Glasgow. Either Scottish or English. Occasionally we would get some TV in Somerset when my mom and dad got a portable TV. But you guys used to get all that great pirate radio. The Stranglers, very cool. Yeah, I love the Stranglers. Stranglers were amazing. Elvis Costello's a genius. Genius. I gave you my Elvis Costello story. Incredible guy. Hung out with him for an hour before I even cared who he was as an artist. I was just like, oh, it's just that guy who does what's so funny about peace, love, and understanding. Oh. I didn't know any better. That's not even his song. I think that's a Nick Lowe song. Now I'm like one of his biggest disciples ever. So first time I met him, hung out with him, didn't care. Second time I met him, I just went, that was it. Steve, there he is. I was definitely a mixed up kid. My music tastes were Floyd, AC/DC, the House Martins. Wow. Tears for Fears, Led Zeppelin, Judy Zook. Wow. Wow. Was Judy Zook a comedian or a singer? I know the name very well, but was she a singer? Oh, how interesting. That's cool. I mean, like, I was just joking with Jerry O'Malley. I was like, I listened to I was influenced by, lots of bel canto music, because that's what I studied, like, Rossini and Bellini, and I was listening to Kiss and Iron Maiden and Black Sabbath, but I loved Andy Williams and I loved Tony Newley. I had weird taste. I used to get made fun of all the time because of the musical taste that I listened to. But I didn't know what's the difference between listening to what's it all about, Alfie? Or room service, baby, I could use a meal. I mean, I liked it all. If it was good, I liked it. And I never put any credence into people who think you should stay in one lane. It's not necessary. Why would anybody do that? Hey, Bert Dundee, plenty of Spinal Tap-ish bands getting a shout out. Oh, yeah. There was so much of that. You know where the Spinal Tap thing came from? It came from Black Sabbath. They were, when Dio left, they got Ian Gillan, and he didn't even know he joined the band because he was out drunk with them one night. And he realized that he joined the band, and they go, oh, we'll do Stonehenge. And they had a Stonehenge stage, and with little people. And that's where they got the inspiration from. Isn't that scary? Yeek. Hey, the original LC with the super chat. Super chat for mentioning Kiss. Wait, is there a show that I don't mention Kiss? I mean, there is plenty of shows, but and we'll give you needs more cowbell. In itself is hilarious. Listen, you talk about what you know, and I know a lot of things about a lot of different stuff, but there's a lot of people like the other night, Friday night, I am done in this world trying to convince people of things that I like to try to coerce them into thinking that it's good. I don't see the point in it because people are set in their ways and they just don't want to. Like Ush, he missed the boat on that. He's 8 years younger than me. So he was listening to whatever the zeitgeist of music was at that time. I understand at its root that whole thing was I got caught up in that whirlwind and it meant a lot to me. They were superheroes. They were larger than life. My love is larger than life. They were larger than life to me. And while I might have deviated away from it, that whole thing never really truly leaves you. I never wanted to sound like them or look like them or any of that stuff, but there's an allegiance, and it's no way of getting around it. Saying that they suck is just ignorant. You can't say that because, I don't like Radiohead, and I don't think that they're not good. I just think that they're snoozeville, Boresville. I don't enjoy Dream Theater. I don't enjoy bands that are unusual and or technical for unusual and technical sake. If you are going to go, like, I'm a big Rush fan. I've always been a huge Rush fan. I always felt that they took me on a natural place where their musical wizardry allowed them to go, and it never bored me. I've never been bored by them. But like when it's a after all that stuff, after a while, just becomes cacophony and it's just useless. So, but people love that. There's legions of fans. Like we shared, we knew the guys in Dream Theater were from the same place. We knew them; they were very young. But here's a very funny story about Dream Theater. We were at a 7-Eleven. Me and John. We were on our way to rehearsal. They rehearsed down the way, and we rehearsed the other way. And we ran into John Mayung, John Petrucci, and their then singer Chris Collins, and they were called Majesty at the time. And we knew them very well. And we're like, hey, what's up, guys? Blah, blah, blah. And like, what are you up to? I said, well, we just did a demo. He goes, we just did a demo. We're like, oh, this is, and John Mayung doesn't really talk very much. He's the bass player. And so John, the guitar player, John Petrucci, he's like, we should swap demos. And I was like, oh, cool. Yeah. John had one in his car. So John goes in the car and he gets the thing. And then John Petrucci from Dream Theater opens up or Majesty at the time opens up his case, and he goes to hand us. So we hand him our cassette, and he hands us that one. He goes, that's $5. He wanted us to pay for it, and John goes, wait a second, I'm giving you our demo tape, and you want to charge? He goes, well, we have to make some money. I said, so are you going to give me $5 for mine? How about I give you give me, and it's an equal trade. I reached into my pocket and I gave him $5, and I just said, for the band. And I have that demo. It's probably worth money because they went on not to be a huge band, but they can play big theaters. They just played Radio City Music Hall, but that kind of music just doesn't do it for me. And I understand why somebody wouldn't get something as simple as Kiss, but like I tried to, and he wasn't listening because he doesn't listen. I tried to say, Gene Simmons is a terrific bass player. He comes from the McCartney, James Jamerson school. Of course, he's not those people at all. But I understand why people like what they like. Like, I liked Mahavishnu Orchestra, and I liked Return to Forever, and all that kind of stuff. But for some people, they just want to listen to, Sabrina Carpenter or whoever's the pop thing of now. And that's what pop music is. Pop just means popular. It changes throughout time. Paul Revere and the Raiders and the Beatles and Led Zeppelin were at one time considered pop groups. And I don't think the word rock came around until the late 60s. The Beatles were a pop group. They were not, there was no rock. There was rock and roll, but rock, that came later. And I think maybe The Who could be the band that were probably considered the first rock band. I don't know. I could be right. I could be wrong. Top Dog, number 1. Love me some Whitesnake, the ballad era. Yeah, I mean, it's great stuff. I mean, they come from a bluesy background, but, who knows where they went. My taste stretches from good punk to classical music. I'm with you, Dirk. Tom Verlaine to Japan. Yeah, it's great. Very cool choices. And it by the Trail of Dead to Black Sabbath. Yeah. Why? There's room for everybody. You know, when I was a kid, people thought that the Carpenters was cheesy, easy listening music. One of the absolute greatest singers in the history of pop vocals, Karen Carpenter. No one can touch that woman. She was the most pure, beautiful. Sarah Vaughan and Ella Fitzgerald used to say, "Who is that girl?" They were so knocked out by her. So yeah, I always short the market and but gold. And there's a change in the presidency. And when there's a change in the presidency, uncertainty 10 times this time. Yeah, no, agreed. Yeah, Top Talk says yes, yes, yes. The French Revolution happened because the French ran out of money funding the American War of Independence. Fun fact. Well, you know who's going over there and grabbing all the wine? Ben Franklin. Rufus, I have a story about. Do you? I want to hear your story about black. We should have Jer on the show. Do you want to do a Meet the Basher? I'll have to get permission from your boys. I want to have your Matt on the show. You have a story about. I bet you it's a story about. Oh, I think I know the story. I'm not going to tell it. It's your story to tell, Jer. But I think I know. I think I know all about it. Is it about censorship? That's amazing. That's so good, man. Let Oshin and Emmett play it. Yeah, we'll do some Black Sabbath. Emmett's coming on. We're going to do a Metal Mondays, but I don't know if it's going to be on a Monday. Emmett's coming to town soon, and we're going to do another live show, which is so much fun because we have a couple too many drinks, and we, do some songs. We'll do some Black Sabbath. But also, if you have any requests, let us know, because you know how the show goes. It's really some of the most fun we can have. Rufus says, really, Jared would love to hear that story. Me too. I used to caddy and hang out with Alice Cooper, who's a scratch golfer. Hey, Top Dog. Hey, look who it is. It's our special guy. I always forget that now that I know who you guys are, Jeff and Michelle, I always forget that you're Top Dog. By the way, I sent you an email and you wrote me back, but I just want to let you know that the girl with the wrench, Carolyn Martin, who's in charge of like iBASHERS merchandise, she wants to send you guys a special gift. So hit me up because you were the first and Meet the Bashers. And that might actually wind up becoming a show of its own, my friends. Because, it was supposed to be a 15-minute, but it was so interesting to me. I had such a great time doing it. It might be like a show that I don't do live, that I record and then post, which might be fun. He's a scratch golfer, Alice Cooper, at Muirfield Village Golf Club. And when he came to town, there you go, scratch golfer. Sponsored by Big Bertha, great dude. Always said golf saved his life from drugs and booze. Yeah, Alice Cooper. There's a guy. He's a born-again Christian. Here's a guy that, looked scary, and he's not. He's a pussycat. One of the best reputations in the business, So back to fun. I think you would really like, and you will know us by the Trail of the Dead, Dirk. Lofty prog rock. That sounds like a contradiction in terms, but they're awesome. I will look that up, and you will know us by the Trail of the Dirk. That's the name of the band. It's a very long name. Skylab. Ooh, we love Skylab. That's the vintage audio YouTube channel. I'll pimp that guy out. He's terrific. Just had a 4-panel person of test songs, cool choices. Marilyn Manson, right? The Beautiful People. That's Melly C's theme song. The Beautiful People. The Beautiful People. That's cool. Hey, I will check that out. I know Elton John spent time with Leon in Tulsa back in the 70s. Yeah. And most people don't realize this. And one thing I don't love that he did was he got Leon Russell was kind of down on his luck because I don't know if he blew through his money or whatever he did. But Elton got him a new record deal, but he also got him a sponsorship with Yamaha pianos, which is like, oh no, don't put that guy on a Yamaha. They're just not great pianos. They're just not. Elton was a Steinway guy, the only pop artist endorsed by Steinway, and he left them because Yamaha wrote him a big check. That's one thing about Elton I did not like, that he left Steinway and Sons. You don't give up Steinway and Sons to go play Yamaha. You just don't do that. That's why there are no classical artists playing Yamahas on the stage. And Leon Russell, because they're very plinky. They're just, they're not terrible pianos, but they're just not great pianos. They are what they are. Anyway. JBB, Iggy Pop was, and is that true? I didn't know he was a golfer also. Scotty H. Do you double fist every single day? Double fist weekender and Angela Minikilla. I didn't know you did that. The talking heads. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Those idiots on the box. I'm so sick of them. Rufus, rock on. That's right. And then Clem Burke, we talked about him the other day. I've been listening to a lot of Blondie. Man, that guy, what a beast. What an absolute beast that guy was. Unbelievable. Thank you, Rufus Campbell. Monster player. People don't realize how great that guy was. Very, very frenetic, crazy player. Really, really good. Judy Zook, Stay With Me Till Dawn. Oh, wait a second. Steve Mack, we have very similar music. Judy Zook, Stay With Me Till Dawn. God, that's really ringing a bell. Wow, Dirk, I love radio and I can't stand. How does that work? No, I get it. Of course, it totally makes sense. I mean, people like what they like, I think, people like Manowar, and I don't get it. People like hip hop. I don't get it. I'm not qualified to critique it nor comment on it. But it's not my thing, and I think that critics should only be able to criticize when they have a working knowledge of what they're talking about, and I don't think that that's fair at all. I just find Radiohead, boring. I just find them extremely boring. I liked the Bends a lot. I loved that album, The Bends. I loved it. I played it till I was dead. And then they took a turn I didn't like. I didn't like OK Computer, except for, the Creep and all that stuff. And then Kid A. They just went to a place I didn't like. But I do like his new solo band. It's very, very cool. But yeah, it makes sense. Kiss was a zeitgeist. You had to either catch that star or not. And if you didn't, you didn't. And it's no great loss. It's a fun. They've sold 100 and some odd million records and they're richer than, it doesn't really matter. And Radiohead is still continuing on. And you got Johnny Greenwood, who's done some great soundtrack work. It's cool. I also have the first two Coldplay records, Parachutes and A Rush of Blood to the Head. And I really loved those records. And I thought, oh, wow, this is a great band. And I don't hate Roman Catholic choirs. I don't hate that. I never hated that. And then everybody says that, nobody won in that lawsuit. Joe Satriani and some other people, everybody sued for that song, and nobody won because the progression is too common within music and there's no jury could hear it. So, and then they went off onto this goofy career that I just didn't enjoy. Sometimes your favorite bands, they just take, like, my favorite bands of all time were Kiss and Rush and Iron Maiden. And there's lots of their records where lots of periods, like I gave up on Rush during the Grace Under Pressure, Power Windows, Hold Your Fire era. Didn't go to the tours, didn't care. Didn't like those records at all. I like them now. Didn't like them then. I moved on to another group because youth is fickle. Oh, that girl's prettier. She's, got prettier hair or longer legs, or, that guy's, whatever. It doesn't matter. When you're young, you're fickle. You jump around. But as an older artist, what do I listen to for pleasure? I'll tell you, all I listen to I'm listening to a lot of Who because I just finished Pete Townshend's book. And the Who is a band of course I know all these songs. I know them. Of course I know them because they're omnipresent, that band. They're a huge, huge band. But they were never in my arsenal of favorite bands. I'm really almost discovering late in the game what a great creative force that guy was. And I have a new appreciation for Roger Daltrey because he's never been one of my favorite singers. I don't think he's a bad singer. I just think he's just Roger Daltrey. But, oh, God, he's Roger Daltrey. Wow, that's the mistake I made. Nobody sounds like that. He's his own thing. Do I think Keith Moon overplayed? Absolutely. Do I think John Entwistle overplayed? Absolutely. But God, they did it so beautifully. I'm learning. I love when an old dog gets taught a new trick, and that's it's pretty cool. And I love that Lady Gaga record. Get that record. It's fantastic. Mayhem. It's the best record she's ever done. It's so mature and it's got all the modern stuff that people want, but it's deep and the melodies are incredible and her vocals are just amazing. Rufus says, oops, forget liking Trail of the Dead. Why? I'm going to check it out. Do you like the band Marillion? I like the Fish era very much. So yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah. After that, I didn't care. Amazing band. First 2 albums. Yeah. Carole King. Everybody loves Carole King. She's one of the greatest songwriters of all time. Amazing. Look at what that woman's done. Who doesn't love her? Eddie, I don't understand how people can play guitar. It's so hard, man. Listen, I've been playing guitar for a long time and I suck. I can fake it. But I look at people like, Emmett and Jimmy and my friend College Superstar that I know how it works. And, and it's just so annoying to me that I don't have the natural ability to go further. I know the chords, I know how arpeggios are done and rake thing. I know how that's all done, yet I can't do it. My brain knows how to do it. I'm when I need to sing, I know what I want to sing and I can do it. Whereas with the guitar, I can't. And that's really annoying to me. But yeah, I get you, Eddie. I get you. Greetings, Jer. How's the arm? Oh, that's sweet of you. Hey, there's Chuckles. There he is. Request Wasp. Fuck like a beast. Go ahead, demonetize my show, Chuckles. Now, I don't know if you were into it at the time. I talk a lot on the show, so I get to chats a little bit later than normal. Anyway, Joe LaFaro for Steinway and Sons. Thank you, buddy. I got to give that guy another buzz. That guy's just not called me back. But I certainly will. That's a huge super chat. Let's give you mega super chat now. That's handsome Joe LaFaro, $20. Thank you, buddy boy. Chucky says, now I didn't care. They, for me, were very, very stupid looking. Blackie Lawless and company. But I really liked Hello, V.E. Love Machine. I liked that song. I didn't like that song. I can't do that because then they'll demonetize my show because it's a bad word. I don't know if you can get demonetized now for saying the F word. I don't know if anybody George Carlin had the 7 words you can't say on TV. Well, I've heard them all now. I've heard them all. And it's just gotten crazy. But yeah, so that's funny though, Chuck. Still attending the hospital, Joe. Slow, but getting there. Thanks for asking on. It's a long recovery when you hurt your arm in such a way, my dearest. It's interesting because I just said that I was reading Pete Townshend's book. And I tend to, I'm into audiobooks now. It's my thing because I ruined my eyeballs from reading books at night. That's why I only wear these to read. I don't wear glasses in my normal life. But he was on a bicycle and he fell over and he broke his arm in 3 places. Turns out Pete Townshend's wrist is now, he had a choice. He had a choice that he could have his wrist like this or like this. And he chose this so he could play guitar. Because they had to set it permanently because he messed it up so badly. So thank God that didn't happen to you, darling. And Handsome Joe says, speedy recovery, Jer. Oh, that's very sweet of you. Yeah, of course. Dirk, do you like the band The Beautiful South? I don't know enough about them. I've heard the name Andy M. I don't know who they are, though, but I've heard of them, of course. I like the old days when bands used to throw TVs off a hotel balconies. My Maserati does 185. I mean, when you think about it, these were just very bored people who were very, very high. Joe Walsh probably was the worst of them all. Ray Dirk, help. Want to give Peter Gabriel a start. Where first? Ooh, that's tough. Peter Gabriel is one of my favorite artists of all time. I mean, he's a pretty esoteric and deep writer. You certainly don't want to start with any of the weird Genesis stuff. If you want to start with him as a solo artist, I would say most likely you should go with So, which is his, I believe, 4th record. Yeah, because the first one is It's Car, Melt, Scratch, and then So. Did I miss one before that? I don't think so. So has Sledgehammer and Big Time on it. So these are because he is a very interesting world music kind of guy. He's constantly looking for new things. He wrote one of the most beautiful songs I've ever heard in my life, which is called "Here Comes the Flood." It's it's a heartbreaker, but there's lots of different versions. Let me send you something, Ray Ray, because I don't want you to hear that original version of "Here Comes the Flood" because it's not great. Later on, he found a much more beautiful way to do that, and I believe that was on the Up tour. But he opened up his show with it. It was devastating, like in a Kate Bush way. But aren't they the yin and the yang? She's the female Peter Gabriel, and he's the male Kate Bush. And together they did "Don't Give Up," which is on So. So I would say So is the entry point if you want to explore Peter Gabriel, because it gets much deeper than that. And then after that, I would go with Us, because Talk to Me. There's great stuff on that. You want to ease your way into his catalog because he can get very, very intense odd time signatures, and I know that that's not for the casual listener. I get it. She wrote the theme song to the Gilmore Girls. That's my sister's favorite TV show as well. My sister loves that. I've never seen a single episode of that, but she loves it as well. Wow, that's crazy. A Happy Meal is here. I was sent here by the Gonzo Pope original OC. The skin is looking. Thank you very much. Well, you know what? It's because I use Clarins every day. Clarins, when you want to look as young as I do. Yes, here's some Clarins for you. I do. I use it every day. You know what I do every day? This is all I use every day. Right? Take this every single day. I do that. I do this. I do that. That's it. I'm done. I'm out of the house. Then I smell like a rose bush because it does smell like that. But thanks so very much. It's so funny. Judy Zook is like Hart had a baby with Freya Ridings. I don't know who that is. Who's Freya Ridings, Tracy? Tracy Farris. Who's Freya? I don't know who that is. Interesting. I sent you a link for Church Studios. Thank you, Scotty H. How cool is that? I see the link on there right now. Sledgehammer. Yeah, you want to go there. Alan Parsons, genius. And he just had a great interview on TV. I watched the whole 2 hours. Don't Give Up. Yeah, Don't Give Up is absolutely incredible. And Steve Mac 3. My claim to fame is my dad's cousin is Tony Banks. Really? Tony Banks always looks so unhappy to me. You got Phil, who's just Phil, and then Mike Rutherford, who's, I'll play bass, I'll play guitar, what do you want? Tony Banks always looks disgruntled to me. But wow, he's a genius, though. I absolutely love him. A British singer with red hair. Okay, I don't know who that person is, Tracy. No idea, but I will look her up. Anyway, I went on for hours and hours and hours without getting to everybody's favorite part of the show, and that's the Gallery of Bashtards. The Gallery of Bashtards. Send me the shots, the sublimely absurd. The Gallery of Bashtards. You share them with me, and I share with the world. I have some very interesting ones today. I got some ready for this. I'm going to start out with the incomparable Becky Brown. Thank you, Becky Brown. Thank you for all the fragrance wonderfulness you've brought to my life. Look at this. She's in Kyoto, Japan. And look how cool this is. Amazing. It's a Pekingese in a stroller. I got my friend Diane a stroller for her dog for her birthday. Oh, look at that. 2 dogs in the strollers. Look at this craziness. Hello, puppies. Oh, look how cute they are. We got a bunch from Becky Brown, so I'm going to get to it because that's the first one. More dog love from Kyoto. I'm sharing it. Here we go. Look how cute that is. Aw. Lucky dog, right? Aw. Look at that beautiful place. My God. Japan, gorgeous. So amazing. Look at that. And then the third one from our incomparable Becky Brown. Thank you, Becky. Look at the French jumper. Oh, look at this, amazing. Oh, look at this major crazy dog culture in Japan. Oh, look at that. How cute is that? Please don't say that's Starbucks coffee. Oh, Jesus Christ. Starbucks in Japan. Want to be a samurai? Wow, that's crazy. Samurai dogs. Amazing. Becky Brown. We love you, Becky Brown. It's great to have you on the show, always sending us pictures. And of course, Bronson's girlfriend, which is super important. Oh, yeah. So let me get on that right now. Steve McLeod, you're here, right? So let's get to Steve McLeod and show his stuff. Now, I want to read you exactly what he said to me. He wanted to know what he's pretty sure you use a Leica, and he wants to know if you shoot film or digital, and he wants to know if the lighting is post-production or not post-production. He's very, very curious as to how you get this done. So let's take a look at that. These are some really great shots. Look at it. Never has a toilet looked so good. Oh, it's all toilets. It's a theme, huh? Look at that wallpaper. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. What's going on here? It's a mirror. Very cool. Do you do post-production on your shot? What do you do exactly? Because Julian, of course, the photographer extraordinaire, wants to know all about that. And then I'll get back to your Grail Watch. I just want to pull that up quick so I can make sure I had that. Here's speaking of photography, Julian. The Gallery of Julian. Oh, look how cool that is. Oh boy, Julian. Amazing. Wow. That's a beautiful shot. That's depressing. The death of a pub, right? That's what it looks like to me. Oh, look at it. What is that? What is that? Wow, it looks like a leather bag. It makes no sense to me, Julian, but once again, I'm gobsmacked. Huh. Everything is always in the lens. He does not add or subtract. He does not do anything in Photoshop. He does not add or subtract. The images in the lens are what you see. That's what he told me. I'm like, oh, I don't know how some of this stuff is done. And you need to have a gallery show in London. There you go. That's really cool. Beautiful. Yeah. Lovely. London is beautiful. I love London town. One of my favorites. Wow. What is that? Like a solar panel? Or a grate? I don't know. I can never tell. Or a sundial, perhaps. The circus has come to town. The circus is always such a great jump-off point for lyrical and literature, because circus life is so interesting. Circus life under the big top, yo. It's just such a incredible carnies. It's fascinating. There was a great show called Carnival on HBO years ago. I'm going to rewatch that because it was so beautiful. It was like a Dust Bowl circus. It was very, very cool. That's great. And Battersea, of course. I got to get there. I got to go to the shops at Battersea. Just reminds me of you gotta be crazy, gotta have a real need. The only singable song on Animals by Pink Floyd. And 2 avocados. That's very hypnosis of you, Julian. With is that a crank for a window missing the crank? It looks like what you put the crank in. Beautiful, Julian. Thank you so much. The circus is my favorite because I don't enjoy the circus because I don't like the treatment of animals in circuses. But this, by the way, this should be an album cover. That's a masterpiece of photography. Absolute masterpiece. But it's Julian, so that's what we've come to expect from the man himself. And then we have Ray, no subject. He's got his crazy digital watch on like you look like you're in Logan's Run. Oh, you're watching the show live? I can never tell because I always wear the same stuff. Well, not always. I'm either wearing a polo shirt or one of the 20 black V-necks I have. That's cool. Oh, that's that cool watch, right? You have one of those. Leave it to Ray to always have the unusual choices. You got to admit, this guy's got taste that's completely different from everybody else's. Oh, this is very scary. This is some bones. Them bones. Them bones. In a sink. God, what was that? I mean, I don't know. What kind of an animal was that? A pterodactyl? That's the stuff you find in the west of Ireland when you dig stuff up. And then what do you got a crematorium going on here? What do you got going on here, Ray? Get in the fire. Look at that though. That land is very rough over there. I know it well. Be careful of the nettles. Our Uncle Mick, who had that house on Coiningham Road, which was just on the right by the Phoenix Park there. And they used to tell us to not go into the backyard because there were nettles back there. And we all went in the backyard and we all got riddled with nettles, which was the worst. And for Americans and stuff who don't know what nettles are, they're these weeds. And if you walk through them, you get lacerations all over it, like severe reaction. And it's so painful. Nettles are the worst. Melly C, Grail Watch Wednesday, Eminem Madness, Mock and Mindy Madness. Oh, here's a great shot of our girl. Mock and Mindy Madness. Hi, Mindy, sweetheart, baby. Oh, she's hiding. My God, how many different places do you have? That's like 1 million different locations for them to get lost. Incredible. Oh, how sweet is that? They love, oh, look at him. He's so cute. Hi, Mork. What a beauty. And such a sweetheart of a boy. A sweet boy. Oh, I want to be alone. She's Greta Garbo. That's my nickname for her now. She's Greta Garbo. Oh, God, hiding in her little tent. That's funny. You have Julian up on the screen. How great is that? Hi, Mork. Such a sweet boy. She's not coming out. Did you just get that? Because she's like, mine. You know how cats, when I had multiple cats, they had like, don't come to my spots. They had their own spots. Oh, she's all comfy now and ready for a nap. Pretty lady. Oh, look at her. You are getting very sleepy. Very sleepy. Oh, pretty. Oh, that's a great shot of Mork. That might be that should be your thumbnail. You should switch that out because that's a great one. Wouldn't that be great? Oh, wow. Look at the sunshine you got on this one. That's terrific. They have an igloo each, she says. Both of them. Oh, yeah, because they can't share it, right? That can't happen. This is mine and that's yours. Oh, look at the beautiful Mork. My Mork. Thank you for these. Look at that. That's a classic shot, though. I would consider it. You got plenty of great portraiture of her. Oh, look at that. That is back feet. That's when you pet them and then they attack you with the back feet. Thank you so much. Beautiful Melly. Thank you so much. And Andy, thank you. We always love the Mork and Mindy show. Always. Okay, Dean McKenzie. Now I can get going with some of his beautiful work. We all know Dean McKenzie. You all know he's a master gardener. I didn't know he got involved with stone and things like that, but there you go. Beautiful. I guess he does the whole creations for the back and everything, right? Beautiful. That's a lot of work. My friend Mike does a very similar thing to you. He's a gardener, but he also puts together gazebos and stonework. In New York City, you have a lot more real estate that you get to deal with. Pergolas, etc. Beautiful stuff. Look at that. Oh, what's in the center? Oh, look at that. Home is where the dog is. Oh, that's beautiful, Dino. Look at that. I don't know. Dean's been very quiet today. Is Dean not around? What's a show without Dino? That is very, very... Look, did you have to have that made? I would imagine you would have had to. Amazing. Wow, that's a lot of land you got to work with. Wow, that's big. Look at those pergolas. Oh, I can see your shoes. Oh, and there's the fresh sod went in. Great work, man. That's a lot of work. That's why this guy has a lot of great watches, because he works his ass off. Oh, it's in the shadows. Wow. Great son. Beautiful stuff, man. That's a lot of work, my friend. Dino, everybody, our very own Dean McKenzie. And did you let me in? Yeah. And Steve McLeod says that he's in the process of selling off his watches because what is he trying to do? He's trying to get this as his Grail Watch. It is Grail Watch Wednesday, sort of. And that's what he wants. Oh, he wants the gold Daytona on the Oyster Flex. Yeah, sure, that's a Grail watch, and that'll cost you a pretty penny right now. Gold watches cost a lot of money, especially Rolex. I love the Oyster Flex. I love it. I wish they made it for my watch. I would absolutely love that. Sure, that's a great go. Well, hey, man, do what makes you happy. Because, if you have watches that you don't wear and you don't want anymore, why not? Get what you want. Get what you want when you want it. Oh, and he said, ready for this? Hey, Julian, yes, I use a Leica QP digital. Post is in a Lightroom 4 and whiskey. There you have it from the man himself. And isn't that fantastic? Thanks so much. So today's Strange Gallery, we got the toilet shots. Those are amazing, by the way. Joe LaFaro, new Grail. Oh, IWC, huh? Okay. Look at that. I didn't know you were an IWC kind of guy. Personally, I don't like this for you. I like IWC, but I don't like the Genta bracelet because you're a manly man, and I just think this is a little too slim. I like the tapisserie, and I love the dial, though. I don't know. I think it's kind of a little too 70s cocktail. It's pretty dial, but that Genta bracelet does. That's very Patek, right? Well, it's because it's Genta. So I get it. I don't know how I feel about that for you, Joe. It's a pretty watch, though. It might grow on me. I don't know that model very well. But I love the moon phase. I do love the moon phase. You'd have to get it and show it off, and then we could see. Now, here's Kay and Jack. How great is this? It's our daily K, kiddos. Our daily K. Look at her. Look at that. She's such a tiny one. Drooby doo. She's such a tiny one. I know she's got a lot of growing to do. But look at her fur coming back and everything. That's just fantastic. And look at Jack. Oh, she's a big part of the family now. I will say that you keep your house immaculately clean. Look at that. I'm constantly using the dirt devil under my counters. And there's only 2 of us here, and we don't even have a pet anymore. My God, and you have so many. That's a full-time job. What a beautiful shot. There's Jack and Kay. We love it. Thanks, Drooby Doo. Daily K. We need as many daily Ks as we can get. Andrew, Morgana's still napping as I watch the iBASHERS. Well, because she's bored. It's like me listening to Radiohead or Machine listening to Kiss. He's bored. Oh, she's having a great snooze there. But that's an uptight snooze though, because she's got her butt end up. And that's very, very weird. Because usually when they get fully relaxed, they don't do that anymore. That is a quick cat nap. Indeed. Bert Dundee, the Oris Depth Gauge Beast of a Watch. Yeah. Oris is a great brand that we don't talk about a lot on the show. But you know what? That's a great looking watch. Oris is a great brand, man. 500 meters. Wow, 50 bars. That's a dial. Look at the knurling on that thing. And that looms up like an MFer, right? Yeah, it's a great looking watch. I love Oris. I would love an Oris. I love them. That's a beautiful piece, man. Looks great on you, too. Perfect fit. And I love those short lugs. Those are cooler than cool. Those are cooler than cool. Wow. Let's see what else I got here. Fergal, McDermott, Christopher Ward, C9 Big Date in 43 millimeters. Yeah, this is a very pretty watch. That's a very big dress watch, though, because this is a super dress watch. And that's pretty big, 43, right? And that's the old logo, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, it's a classic. Chris Ward's got so many different variations. That's what's beautiful about them. And their dials and their hands, everything about them is great. I like that Big Date, too. Looks great. You definitely have the best Chris Ward collection going, my friend. Amazing, amazing stuff. And yeah, and that's oh, and I'm still watching. Oh, yeah, that's it. Oh, she moved around. And to finish off the Gallery of Bashtards for today, we've got Morgana finally moved and went to sleep. She was waiting for him this whole time, but he's too busy probably having a beer and watching iBASHERS. And we love you, Morgana. Thanks so much. That's hilarious. Okay, I'll catch up on the chat. That's the Gallery of Bastards. Thanks, you guys.
The Gallery of Bashtards. Send me the shots, the sublime, the absurd. The Gallery of Bashtards. You share them with me, and I share with the world.
Fantastic. Don't go in the backyard because of the nettles, young Dirk. I won't be told what to do. Strip to his shorts and runs outdoors yelling freedom 5 minutes later. Yeah, I mean, we were told to never do it. We all got them really, really badly. Nettles are not a thing. I don't think anybody in the U.S. knows what that is. Nettles, but they're nasty. Yeah, everybody's loving Dean's work. Gorgeous. Yeah, well, that's why he's the big kahuna. He owns that company. He's a big guy. Quality Ray recycling out of special. Everybody's asking if that's the drum of a washing machine. And of course, beautiful Kay. We love her. IWC annual calendar. Yeah, that's who does. Yeah, it's pretty. I don't know. Like, it just doesn't scream Joe LaFaro to me because he's such a manly Italian guy. That watch looks very kind of like would work on a Swedish dude. Kay is so lovely. We love her, but I could be totally wrong. Cool Oris. Yeah, I love the Oris. Kay, thanks for saving. And that's Drewby too. One of the most beautiful people. Him and his beautiful wife. Heather, they just saved her, and she, a neighbor had pointed her out. She got hit by a car. She had to have her leg amputated, and look at her now. This is beautiful people doing beautiful things. Incredible stuff. And Chucky says, dude, I'm going to throw a drummer into the mix. Dean Castronova, sure. Unbelievable drummer. Listen to his work on the Wild Dogs album, Reign of Terror. Amazing. Then listen to his. Yeah, I've seen him, sure. And he sounds just like Steve Perry when he sings. He does Mother, Father. Sure, I know he is. He got into trouble a couple of years ago because, like a lot of rock and rollers, he wound up hitting the blow a little too hard and hitting the bottle. And then he got fired from Journey. Then they got Steve Smith back, who is, for all intents and purposes, like a studio jazz drummer, incredible drummer. Yeah, no, I think Dean Castronova is incredible. Yeah, there was like weird OnlyFans things going on with him and his wife or his girlfriend. I remember he got caught. He was in an imbroglio of stuff, but it was really crazy. Yeah, he's had a tumultuous life, but he's a great talent. Like 100% agree. He's an absolutely great talent for sure. Anyway, guys and girls, that's the show. An hour and a half today. Hey. And Chucky's on the show. Hey, Chuckles. Great to see you in the room. What else was on the My Last Confession demo? I don't know what else was on there. Was there a song called Ready for the World on that? I don't remember. Do you have that? I want it. I want to hear what that sounds like. I have a version of My Last Confession, but it's like a cassette version, and it sounds like caca. Anyway, guys, thanks, and girls. Thank you so much, Andrew Wilkowicz, OC, Rufus, and Joe LaFaro, and all my beautiful Patreons on the bottom of the screen. Thank you so much for such a great show. Thanks for tuning in. Sorry I was an hour late, but things get in the way sometimes, and that's just life. So that's life. But, what are you going to do? I'll see you guys tomorrow for a Thursday show. I'll be on time at 5 o'clock. Until then, guys, remember to say please and thank you. Remember to hold the door open. And if you encounter somebody who's not so nice, give them the benefit of the doubt. They might deserve it, because they could be the nicest person in the world or a total cunt.